Welcome to the Campervan Casts, the podcast where Dan and Lee will take you step by step through the process of choosing, buying, repairing, maintaining and converting your very own campervan, all via the wonderful medium of audio. And we're going to be filming it too, so you can watch it on the Combe Valley Campers YouTube channel. This week, we are going to be discussing Campervan Insurance.
Yes, and we're going to ensure this is a very good episode.
Oh, very clever. You've been waiting all day to say that.
I've been waiting a while. We haven't done a podcast for a while, so all these puns and jokes have been flying around in my head, and there's a couple more to come, don't you worry.
Oh my God. Okay, right, so welcome back, everybody. I'm saying hello to the camera for YouTube. I'm going to say hello to our guest who's waiting in the wings. And hello, Dan. How you being? It's been, what, 3-4 weeks since we've done the last podcast?
It's been a while, yeah. So we've had to take a little break. And yeah, we're ready. We've got a good guest here today. We've had a little chat already. It's an interesting topic as well, because this first season of the Campervan Cast has all been about buying a campervan and the process of it. And obviously, when you buy a vehicle, legally, you need to insure it. So that's the step today.
Definitely. And it's quite an interesting story how we got to this point and how we're going to introduce our next guest. But before we start, we are recording this on the 12th of April 2021. And it is the first day that our real lockdown restrictions have been eased to the point where we can get a haircut, we can go and have a pint in a garden, and we can actually start introducing ourselves, and other businesses can open, and we can just introduce ourselves back into reality a bit. So what is, apart from maybe a haircut, what is the first thing you are going to do? I can get away with not having a haircut because I just shave it down to a zero.
Tip of my tongue, that one.
So what are you going to be doing, mate?
Well, if you're watching on YouTube, you may have already seen I've had a haircut, and that was a bit of a home DIY job.
Can't tell.
No, I think it's amazing. Izzy did it at home, and I was a little bit worried because she'd found a video on YouTube of how to cut hair, and we know finding a video on YouTube can be a great way of doing it yourself. I was a bit concerned. I was a bit concerned when she watched half of the video and then proceeded to turn the clippers on and start. But yeah, I don't think it came out too bad considering.
No, it looks very smart.
Yeah, that was that one. I think it's a step closer to normality, maybe, could we say, these restrictions, isn't it? We can see a few different faces and more places opening. So
I'm taking a rare day off tomorrow, and we're going straight to one of our most beloved National Trust sites, just to get out and sort of take the kids out with us, because it's Easter half term at the moment, isn't it, as well? So we're going to get straight out, and then we've got a meal booked for Saturday in Brighton.
Oh, nice. Treating yourself.
Yes. Can't wait to go there. A nice pub which will do us a vegan roast. I look forward to that. So.
Amazing. Yeah, I think everyone's looking forward to getting into the beer gardens and stuff and all that sort of excitement. So yeah.
But you said also about this season of podcasts that we're doing.
Yes.
We made some quite big decisions a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? We announced these. If you're only listening to the podcast, you haven't watched it on YouTube yet. We are going to release our podcasts in seasons, right? And this that we're doing now is the episode 10 of season 1, and we're going to do 10 episodes per season.
Yep.
This first season, as you said, is going to be all about buying and choosing your campervan, and we are going to be finishing up nicely, as you've already said, also with insurance. And then next season, we haven't got a date yet as to when it's to be released, but we want to keep it regular, so we reckon about 4 to 6 weeks time, something like that, from this date. And it's all going to be about how to then convert your van, right? So we're going to be speaking to guests from sound deadening suppliers, from electrical suppliers, from raw material suppliers, and just campervan conversion parts specialists as well. So expect lots of guests, lots of people who we can chat to, ready for season 2. So don't go anywhere. This isn't the end of the Campervan Cast in any way, shape or form. This is just the end of season 1, and we got a belter today.
Yes. Going back to that as well, we're starting to learn as well what people are listening to it for, and our audience as well. So it's not just going to be for people that are picking up a panel van, it's maybe their first conversion. We're going to be talking to these companies about maybe how to upgrade your existing camper van. For example, the electrics. There's no end to what you can do. So if you've got a basic setup, we're going to be talking to the guys over at Rain and stuff of how we can upgrade our electric systems.
Yeah, retrofitting is huge.
So
we do a lot of customer work, isn't it? It's retrofitting.
Yeah.
Say modern USBs, for example, into a an older van.
Yeah.
Nobody has a 12 volt cigar lighter anymore, do they? It's just USB-C, all that sort of stuff to charge your phone, your iPad, whatever it may be. So
so it's going to be something for everyone. But yes, moving on to this week, we've got our clipboard of notes here because we have a plan.
Oh, gosh.
Welcome, Dan from A Plan Insurance.
Good day, Dan. This is Dan Cameron from A Plan Insurance has joined us today. Good afternoon, good evening, sir. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, and thanks for having me on the show. It's good to catch up with you guys and talk about what we can offer and what we can do, and indeed insurance. So, which is not the most glamorous of topics of conversation. So we'll try and make it fun. So, so it's nice to be with you guys. So,
and a bit of a background of how we found A Plan is I found them through a forum. Lee, you've heard of them before through various people.
I've heard of Dan way before. Speaking to you personally,
he's a celebrity on Facebook, isn't he? Dan at A Plan, everyone knows him.
So if you're listening and you've got a camper van and you're on any of the Facebook groups or forums, such as, in fact, name your top Facebook groups you would interject on or advise on, Dan.
Do you know what? There's so many. There's so many great groups and guys I get on with. Just T4s was one of the original ones. Who also does the Dirty Dub Junkies clothing line, which
Brilliant.
I'm wearing. Steve at VW Family, great guy. Does a lot of his shows and stuff go to charity, which is kind of quite nice. Run the Ring, big charity one as well.
Excellent.
Neil at Dub Doubt's a good guy. Really supportive and really big in the scene and stuff. So I'll definitely let these guys know that we're on the show and talking to you guys and stuff. And they'll probably find it quite interesting as well. So anything that they can take from it that they can offer to their members as well. So I try and post as much as I can without spamming, because I'm very aware that with Facebook you don't want to be overloading people with information.
Absolutely.
So generally, if somebody asks a question, we're happy to answer it and stuff like that. So
so it's the Just T4s page I found you, and I called up, got my quote, and we went from there, didn't we? And it was a great experience going through the company. I think that's the main thing, is insurance can be maybe a little bit daunting for people. You worry about it, but the team at A Plan just sort of spoke through everything and made it sort of quite reassuring. And so what we're going to talk about today as well is I haven't mentioned it much on the podcast in recent weeks, but
Dan's van. Yes.
How long did that take? For about 6 minutes. I ripped out my interior and to redo it, and I called up A Plan whilst the interior was out, and it was an empty panel van pretty much again, and sort of said, right, my insurance is due for renewal. This is what it looks like now, but hopefully, if all things go well, in 4 months' time, it's not going to be anything like that. And they accommodated that, and it was sort of brilliant. So it's always a bit of a worry. So
I think before we start, this isn't just going to be a huge plug for A Plan. However, at the same time, it is. So anybody who's listening, let's not be disillusioned, because one of the things we're hoping to do with you guys, isn't it, Dan, is to build further on our relationship and offer customers basically a club membership via Combe Valley Campers.
Absolutely, yeah. So, and I think the message that we really want to send across to you guys as well is we're not here as a corporate entity. This isn't Jerry Maguire, the film shouting, "Show me the money." It's all about giving back, supporting, and getting that sense of community, which is working with people like yourselves, Just T4s, the VW families, the shows and events. So it's all kind of like working together. So it's not just about this is what we want from people. It's also what we can give back as well, which I think is one of our main messages to people.
That's awesome.
So there you go. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Cool.
And like we said, we've got a bit of an itinerary going on, but it's a funny niche, isn't it? The whole vans and camper vans, and lots of people get into vans for lots of different reasons. I've been into campers and VWs generally ever since I was a young pup. Dan on the other side didn't really appreciate a camper van until he started working here, so he's new to the scene-ish. How about yourself, Dan? How did it all start for you? Was it something from a young age, or have you always been into vans?
We literally, as a company, stumbled across it about 10 years ago. Basically, it was, we used to be, APAN, this department, we're a department within a much larger company. So we were always a niche insurance broker. So it was anything that, generally you couldn't run through online, or, it wasn't something that you could just get a box product from. So, and we were really into the Japanese import market. So things like your Skylines, your Evos, that sort of thing.
JDM for life.
Yeah. So the market started to, we did loads of shows and events, and I won't tell you my Jeremy Clarkson story, but, he is as grumpy as they make out. I saw him at Japfest a few years ago, and somebody dared me to give a business card, and he didn't react very well. It was just kind of something he said, God, I dare you. So when the market kind of slowed down a little bit, because obviously the Nissans and all that started to get a bit older.
Is this post Fast and Furious, is it?
Yeah, so there used to be the car, and at the moment they are selling for stupid amounts of money because they tend to be rarer. If you look at a 1995 GTS Turbo, there's not that many left. And if not, they're generally in quite poor condition. So if you get like a good souped up one, they're worth quite a lot of money. So, but when the market kind of dropped out a little bit, we needed a new niche. We needed something to do, and we started doing modified vans purely for business. Somebody might just have a set of alloys on there, so it was never really catered or designed for the scale that it's got, for sort of like the custom stuff. And then we joined the VW T4 T5 online forum, and we were just
big page.
And it was run by this really nice guy. Everybody called him Jimbo. Really nice guy. So, and we started interacting with people, and we kind of got a feel that there was a whole big kind of market there. So, and the guy used to run a show down in Bewley called T-Fest, which was a tiny little show. There was, no entertainment. It was everybody just camping, getting together, having a laugh. They did an annual big water fire. Everybody just bundled in with water bombs, and it was really good fun. And he sort of put a message out saying, look, it's not a trade show, but we have like one line of traders. If anybody wants to come down and support it, you're more than welcome. So, and we were the only broker who did. We said, even though it's a small show, we'd love to check out the vans, learn more about them, speak to you guys. So we went down for the weekend and set up our trade pitch, and then we just got chatting to people, and it all kind of started from there. That show introduced us to the guy who runs Just T4s. He introduced us to somebody else. They introduced us to somebody else, and then we just always approached it from a non-corporate way. We wanted to give back, and not just focus on supporting the big shows like Busfest and Camper Jam, but give to the smaller shows as well. Every year we take a pilgrimage down to Cornwall for VW Jamboree. We drive to Pembrokeshire for Westis Fest, which is a great little show as well. So, and it shows that we don't really make much from, but it's just nice to support them and give back. And the owners appreciate it, and so again, it's that community aspect of it. So
again, that was the key word I was just going to say. That it's, a lot of the whole VW scene is regarding the community, and I guess that goes from the smallest clubs all the way up to, like you say, the bigger shows such as the Jamborees and the fests and things like that as well. And it's we can't wait to get back on the show scene. We don't do many shows just because we've been horrendously busy the last few years, and obviously we haven't been able to for the last 18 months, 12 to 18 months, but we really do look forward to getting back out there and meeting with people who not only appreciate us for what we've done, but want to ask advice or meet us in person. Or we had a comment on one of our YouTube videos the other day, didn't we? And it was like, when are you doing a UK wide tour? I was like, hang on, we're not like a band, we're just a couple of people at a workshop, and we really enjoy making videos and doing podcasts for people. But if people would like to do that and go out and see us and meet us and do stuff at shows, it's the one place that more over any other brand of van or car, I think, that it's what makes the VW community special. I'm being a bit brand specific here, only because I'm about VWs for the most part. But
there is a cult following. Definitely.
There is, yes, for sure. And the VW shows, like you say, are the ones where you get most hits, and being an insurance company, I'm sure that's where you're most interested. But generally, the campervan community and the VW community is one of the biggest out there because it's something that's obtainable by a lot of people. You know, there's a lot of things like Fast Forward or the JDM type shows that they apply to a lot of the boys with the big bucks sometimes, or the big cars and everything else. So campervanning applies a lot more to.
It's your families as
it's
well.
It's a family, absolutely. So you going out there and introducing yourself and being part of that community, I guess, has been absolute key to you getting yourself out there.
Yeah, no, I mean, bit of background about me. I appreciate and understand what community's about. So, I've always tried in life to be a member of something because I think it's quite important. I started off doing mixed martial arts for a number of years. So, I did it for about 4 or 5 years, and now I'm quite heavily into the running community. I do a lot of sort of running events. Yeah. And it's not just about your personal gain from it, but it's about what you can take away, what you can give to people. So, running's brilliant. For example, I'm 45 now. It keeps you in shape, and it's good to be able to encourage other people. So I'm at the moment a member of a running club, and it's great when you get new members in and build them up and tell them about how they can progress. And 4 years ago, before I started running, I could never run a half marathon. Now I can do half marathons quite easy, and it's good to pass that knowledge on to other people. So it's that exactly the same thing. I need to get some of that advice.
I went for a run the other day about 40 minutes after eating a large McDonald's meal and very much suffered.
Oh, well, there you go. I think you've answered your own question right there.
It was quite painful, but might have to get some of that advice.
Yeah, I actually did my first half marathon back in 2019 before everything was shut down, and I actually did it for a client's animal charity. There was a lovely lady who insures of us, and she runs a group called Helping Dogs in Romania. So every VW show I did, because obviously it's always hard, we always used to put out drinking bowls for dogs and dog biscuits, and we'd say to people, help yourself, it's all free, but if you want to donate to the charity, you can. And then I decided to do the marathon for them.
Oh, blimey,
and one of my friends in the scene actually said, if you do it in 4 hours, I will double the money. So he was going to give me £25, and he said, if you do it in 4 hours, I'll give you 50. He said, but you have to do it in 4 hours. And Helping Dogs Romania, that they don't make any profit, all goes to helping the dogs. So I'm thinking, £25 is a lot of bag of dog food, for these dogs. So I really went for it, and I did it just on 4 hours. But I wasn't very well afterwards. I pushed myself a little bit. It was really difficult. Yeah, I felt fine doing it. It's that kind of hitting the wall thing is really short. I did it in 4 hours, and I crossed the line, and then my body just dropped and started shutting down on me. And luckily, I had some friends there to support me. And I just couldn't move. I sort of flopped down in Bournemouth Park. It was Bournemouth Marathon. And I was out. I almost ended up in the medical tent. And I kept falling asleep. And it was really bad. But I was proud I did it. But then it was that disappointment. I didn't really get to celebrate it. But the charity got the extra money and stuff, which was
extra 25 quid is all worth it.
And it looks like that's not the only charity it's not the only charity you support. Looking at the stickers behind you there, those who are actually watching the video, Dan's got 3 different Run the Ring stickers, and explain a little bit about that and what you do for it, Dan.
Yeah, so Run the Ring is an awesome VW convoy charity, which is held once a year. And the couple behind it, John and Amanda, so it all started off as a joke with them, just the phrase running the ring. Don't ask. But so they decided that they were going to do something for charity where, it was always going to be kind of like a small event. And it's just completely taken off. And we came into it in Run the Ring too, because John was after extra sponsorship. And John is the type of person, I've got a lot of time for him. He's a great guy, but he's also a really good businessman. And we kind of hooked up at a show called Camper Jam. And he wasn't rude, and he came over to me and he was talking to me about supporting the event. So, and the way that we do our show scene, because we want to give back to so many, it doesn't come out the premiums people pay. We literally, at the start of the year, we say these are the shows we want to support, and then just hope for that year that we get the support and
get the return back.
People sign up because otherwise we wouldn't be able to do it next year. But luckily it's been really good each year. So we hadn't actually budgeted for any other shows. So John came up to us at Camper Jam and he said, so I know you from this show and this show and this show. He said, do you want to get involved with Run the Ring? And I said, well, what do you need? And he said, well, I need my stickers printed and I need X amount of pounds. And I said, well, I can give you, because I haven't budgeted, I can give you this amount.
Yeah.
And bless him, he just looked at me and he went, I need more.
And
really? He wasn't rude about it. He just, literally. And it was almost like he had me by my ankles and was shaking every penny out, bless him. So, and I said, well, look, instead of, you having the hassle, because obviously, doing something like Run the Ring is really busy, why don't, if you want your stickers printed, instead of me just giving you money, why don't we print the stickers for you?
Yeah.
Because obviously the company the size of APAM, we've got a marketing department, so we said, look, we'll just do all the stickers. So
that's
the
awesome.
relationships just works, it just works really well. And the other thing as well, which I think people appreciate, is the fact that every year we've Run the Ring with them. We're not just giving them money; we actually turn up on the day. And 3 times in a row I've Run the Ring. So and it's good.
And what
fun.
did you drive?
So, a transporter. I did it in a VW.
Brilliant.
Did it in a nice air-conditioned T6. So, but last year they John had hooked up with VW Radio.
Yeah.
Really great bunch of guys on there. Really nice. So and they wanted us to do an interview while we were running the ring. And I said, yeah, that's no problem at all. Get hands-free set up. And when they actually called me was when I was just coming up to the last service station, which was Combe. And you had loads of people pulling off to go to the toilet, and then loads of people coming on to join the ring. So obviously we start 4 different service stations.
Yeah.
They're trying to talk to me, and I'm like, right, this guy's zooming this way, these cars are coming on, and it was like really difficult to, but my boss listened to it and said you did quite well.
So you didn't have to bleep out anything then as you're trying to negotiate the traffic.
No, almost. The only one thing I said, which my boss said he was listening to, and he said it was really funny, is the lady on the radio station said, so Dan, if you could have any vehicle, what would be your dream vehicle? And I thought, well, that's quite an open question on it. I'm not going to lie and say it's a VW, because I like the VW stuff. My passion is classic American cars. I grew up on things like Smokey and the Bandit and that sort of thing. So, and there's a TV show, TV series called Supernatural.
Okay.
And the 2 brothers in it drive this awesome 1967 Chevrolet Impala, and I love the noise and the style, and that is my dream vehicle. And my boss was laughing, and he said her voice just dropped as soon as you mentioned that car. And it was just like
Phone lines go off.
slap her on the face for it. But
so we love the guys up at VW Radio as well. They're excellent. They're really, really good, and we hope to do more with them.
I'm speaking to one of the guys at the moment to do a little bit more and just kind of get more involved and give back and stuff. So they did.
In the madness, you didn't crash the car though, because that would have been that'd have been great for the insurance company.
So, the one thing with Run the Ring as well is we start really early at the service station. So by the time you get to the service station, you get a couple of coffees and you have your breakfast and stuff. So literally 2 miles into it, I need the toilet, but I don't want to lose the convoy. So not only am I'm driving like this all the way round, like absolutely busted to go to the loo. But so many people have said they have the same issue, and you actually see people parked along the M25 popping out, but not that I condone going to the toilet at the side of the road, but we have seen people do it. But and
it's
I think
not one I've done yet.
What's that?
It's not one I've done yet. I've meant to, because the guys down at Heritage Park Centre, they always do a cruise, I think, starting from their place, and then they'll head up the 23 to the nearest services, and then they'll all start together. I've yet to do one, mainly because I'm building everybody else's vans rather than my own, and mine's not been finished.
No, it's great. Well, I have to say, kudos to, Run the Ring and John, because last year, I always mispronounce it, but Prius, the prevention of suicide in young adults, they raised over £50,000.
Oh my gosh,
I know, speaking to John, that every penny doesn't skim off the top. No, he doesn't take any money from it till every penny goes to the charity. So, and I've one of my best friends unfortunately suffers quite badly with depression. So, it really hits home about the, the charity, and this year as well, Copperfield. Everybody knows somebody that might have suffered from cancer, especially breast cancer. So again, it's a really important charity to support. So we're really proud to be supporting it again, and we're going to get an extra sticker on the board as well. So we'll get Run the Ring 5 sticker behind us as well. So
excellent.
It's like a movie franchise, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. No. So we're straight away then. It's not. You aren't just trying to get out there as a company, then you're actually just trying to integrate and be part of the community as much as possible, and not just in an advertising way.
Absolutely. I mean, I think one of the good things is we've made so many friends in the scene, and when we were chatting earlier, I think one of the biggest for me about the community was, which is now legendary, known as Bristol Mudfest. Back in 2019, where, bless them, they would have been damned if they did, damned if they didn't. But leading up to the show, that had really heavy rainfall leading up to the show, but the weekend was looking drier, so they said, right, okay, we'll give it a go. We'll still go for it. So, and unfortunately, didn't work quite as well, and everybody got stuck in the mud, and the mud churned up. I mean, imagine Glastonbury style mud. It was really
with
thick.
vehicles.
Yeah. So, and actually, that was where Steve at VW Family, because his group spent the weekend pushing people onto their trade pitches. So, and this is what the community side of it showed at me. Nobody was arguing, nobody was fighting, everybody was supporting each other. And the Saturday evening, when the weather kind of dried up a little bit, this guy came out, one of the musicians, and started blasting out a track by AC/DC. And he spotted somebody in the crowd wearing an AC/DC t-shirt. So he came down to the crowd, and everybody was lifting him up. And, I got some brilliant pictures of it. And just people enjoyed it, and, nobody was arguing about the rain or the fact that they couldn't get in. And, everybody was helping out. And I'd actually run out of money at this point as well. And another trader had only literally met him at the show because we weren't expected to all be stuck in. He said, well, look, let me give you 20 quid. And he said, get yourself some food and just... I said, well, I don't know you. No, and he said, but no. He said, look, I'd rather you've used all your food up, and you've helped other people. He said, look, and I said, well, I can't take your money. We'll figure something out on it, because all the card machines weren't working. So, and that's the sense of community on it, is everybody works together, and that's why I think it's so important, especially with what's happened with lockdown as well. I think it's so important that people start getting together,
Absolutely.
and rebuilding that community and supporting the shows and events. And yeah, we're looking forward to it.
It's one of the things we're hoping to do as well. We are introducing our monthly meet up again. We haven't released any dates or even the venue as yet, but basically we know that there's not going to be many shows going on. So if we can do just one-day meets as much as we can, we think that'll really start building everything back up, ready for a hard-hitting 2022, so we can all get out on the show scene together and actually your little stories are just making me crave it, because I've got a lot of stories as well about it was a Grill and Chill one year, and it was like you say, it was a mud fest, and I was behind a rear wheel drive VW LT van, and I was pushing behind the wheel like an idiot. It was a friend of mine, Gareth. So Gareth, if you're listening, it was down to you that I was walking around the whole show with one leg from my toe all the way up to my shoulder, in fact, full of about 2 inches of this brown sticky mud, just because it had literally caked all the way up. But that's the sort of thing you like reminiscing around a campfire, isn't it? And Dan's looking forward to getting back to Bug Jam, whose tickets you've had for 18 month?
Something like that.
So we're all looking to get back to it. But in more events, we'd like to work with you guys as well, for sure.
No, absolutely.
But I wanted to potentially just move on to what it is you cover in terms. So if people are listening now and they've got anything from a 65 split window all the way up to a 2021 T6, what sort of things can we? I'd like to put a couple of scenarios your way, and also, you can tell us a bit more about what you would do as a company and what we can do as a new buyer of a camper van, because there is, I'm sure, the percentage rate of people buying camper vans this year has probably gone up by about 300-400%, bearing in mind the prices of camper vans and the availability at the moment. It's definitely it's things I don't think anybody's seen before, the amount of money that camper vans are going for now. And so to all those people out there who are buying camper vans, why are we gonna take a look at you guys, and would you be able to accommodate for something that's 50 years old or something that's 5 weeks old?
So I think if we start, the classics are slightly easier.
Okay. I thought they would be more difficult.
No. Classics are a lot easier.
That's really interesting.
Generally, if you've got a classic, which is good condition, the rates are. Generally, if you've got like a classic bay window or a classic bug or anything like that, they tend to be like a really cherished vehicle. So you wouldn't tend to get your bay window out to pop to Tesco's, for example. So tend to be a lot more restricted mileage. They're usually second or third vehicles in the household, so they're quite easy to quote, and getting agreed value, for example, on them is really easy. We don't charge any extra for agreed value, so we just ask for pictures sent across, and then we can actually do that as well. So the modern stuff is a bit more interesting because there are so many different styles and variations. I go to the shows, it's this is part of the reason why we do the amount of shows and events we do, is just to get that better understanding of the vehicles. Because they're just so different. The different styles of pop tops, different styles of beds, paintwork. Some people might just go for a rock and roll bed and a fridge. Other people go for the full camper, and some people go full out paint jobs, suspension, and I've some of the artwork on these vans, I think that's worth more than my car. It's just like we've had some really I actually saw one a few years ago that was it was a van but completely painted like the General Lee from the Dukes of Hazzard. You can imagine the cost of the paint job on that. So we insure one who's actually allowed us to use it for some of our marketing. We've been friends with them for years. It was called Iron Van, and it was literally kitted out like Iron Man.
I love that already. My kids would love that as well.
Oh, it was awesome, and we've had him on our stand a few times. We've got pictures on our website with it. So and the original owner of it before he sold it, and we actually insure the new owner as well. So we're good friends with him. But it kind of had like so it was red with a sort of gold bonnet like Iron Man. It had Iron Man flying down the side doing that. The table was the Iron Man helmet. The fridge was covered. The original guy who owned it, he's such a nice guy, and I get on really well with him. So, and when a new Avengers movie come out, I would drop him a message. Have you seen it yet? Have I seen it yet? 4 times, and when he sold it. But this is something that is such a niche type of vehicle, and very. When he unfortunately wanted to sell it because it wasn't getting used much, he did not struggle to sell it, but it took a while to sell because it was so customized, very individual, and niche. So luckily he found somebody who was equally as into the Avengers as he was, which was good. So but it was just a really unique van, and that is slightly, that's something slightly different, because a bay window is always going to be a bay window, and a split screen is always going to. But a T4, how many times is it going to be an Iron Van, for example?
Gotcha.
So this is what we can do, is we can actually break it down as and say, okay, what's the value of the vehicle? That, for example, is going to be really difficult to put a book price value on if there's ever an accident. So let's look at again an agreed value on that type of policy, because it's so unique. Our policies are designed that you can add modifications as you go along. So say for example, if you bought a T5 and it's your template, so you want to go to the shows, choose your interior, choose your pop top, add all your modifications on it. Our policy is designed so you can do all that at no extra charge. So basically what we would do is, when you phone us for a quote, we'll say, right, okay, well, what are you looking to do? What do you think the value is going to be worth when it's completed? And and then you get to add it as you go along. So that's the wheels, and they're all covered under the policy as well. So as you go along, they wouldn't just pay out the book price value for the van. So it would be the van with the same style wheels, with the same style rock and roll bed. So basically to put you in the same position you were. with the same modifications on, which is
I think that's a key one, because we put out a poll on our Patreon a while back for one of the other podcast episodes, and it was, what is the van that you bought? Was it a full camper all ready to go? Was it an empty panel van ready to convert? And I think out of the like 30 or 40 people that voted, 20 people, it was an empty panel van ready to convert. So that's quite a large percentage of our audience, if we're taking that as any sort of reference, that potentially have bought a panel van that is technically a commercial vehicle, and then they need to insure it straight away because it's still got a price and they're going to use it, but they don't want to insure it as a camper because it's not that, but they don't want to insure it as a panel van because in 2 months' time it's not going to be that either. So that's we would, big point.
We would phrase that as a modified day van. So that's how we would cover it. So and part of one of the other things that we do as well, which I personally do, is because I do so many of the shows. We don't just stay on our. I love going around all the other traders and chatting to people and say, okay, what do you do? What are you selling? What does your product do? What's the value of it? How does it go in with a different style of vans and stuff like that? And it's a real eye opener, because then you get to learn more about it. So when your client does phone up and say, well, this is the type of, I want to get windows, we understand the windows. We know the difference between a rock and roll bed and a rib bed, for example. We know the different styles of pop tops and, generally what people want to do with them. So, if there's a leisure battery, what's the leisure battery running? Is there a fridge in there? Have you got a hookup? And then we can
perfect.
And
I think you should be hosting the podcast next time, Dan, to be honest. You know equally as much, if not more, I'm sure, at this point.
I've lost a job. There is one question I want to put to you, is obviously we get asked a lot about the whole classifying as a camper. The classification of getting it through the DVLA is quite tight at the moment. A lot of people are trying it, they're not getting it.
They used to do it quite easily. The DVLA. I remember when the story broke on it was literally a couple of weeks before we did Busfest, and we were next to another camper conversion company at Busfest, and all weekend we were just getting people coming up saying, right, well, what do we do on it? So, and I think
October
what the DVLA
2019, I think it was.
So
it was a really tricky one, because people were saying, well, I've sent my pictures off and now they're refusing it. They're saying it now needs an elevating roof instead of a pop-top roof. It needs graphics, it needs this and that. So the first thing we did is obviously that was really helpful information to us, because what we could do is go back and speak to our insurance companies and say, right, if you've got a vehicle that is an out-and-out camper, it's limited mileage, it's the second vehicle in the household, it is used as a camper, but they're refusing to register, can we still insure it as a camper? And still give people the camper benefits. So things like, extended European cover if they need it, cover the camping equipment, cover the gas bottles and awnings, and they were absolutely fine with it. So it was good to have that information to then give to our underwriters and say, right, okay, well, it's not our client's fault that the DVLA have moved the goalpost. And they were making it really difficult, weren't they, to get them registered.
We've had a huge relief.
Yeah, we've had a lot of people
huge relief
contact.
for a lot of people, because I remember when we put out that video, and it was one of the only videos we've done, which it sounds really bad, but I really, really put in my research for that one, because generally the stuff we do day to day is how-to. And it's stuff that I know through experience and knowledge and through my own research over a number of years. But because these rules came out, I think I was up until 3 a.m, writing out everything in a legible manner, because it was just gobbledygook on the website and through different things.
There was they didn't know what they were.
And somebody had already released a video, but he was literally reading it off the sheet. And I know anybody can make a video and just read it off the sheet, right? But what we did as best we could was to rewrite or even translate that information into a video that people would actually understand of what they needed to do. And sadly, although we've told all these people how to do it, there has been a very low percentage of success rate for actually classifying, and that even goes down to the converters as well. You have even we spoke with a friend of ours last week, actually. The company that he works for specialises in huge off-road and overland trucks. They're called Motorcraft.
Oh, right, okay.
And so these are trucks that are designed to go around the world. And even they can't or they have trouble reclassifying these vehicles as motorhomes or camping vehicles, despite qualifying for all of it. So all of the converters, everybody else, are having so much trouble doing it. But it's such a relief to know, because that was one of the big questions, coming back to my point, I guess, one of the big questions I was getting, or the comments I was getting on the YouTube video in the comment section was, what about my insurance? And to know that there are companies such as yourselves that are actually going, don't panic too much. We've done our research. You're still a camper van per se. We will insure you as a self-build camper van, or a camper van that is in the process of being converted, and you appreciate, and you know the difference. You know the difference between that T5 that's being built and the T6 that's being built by a conversion company.
I mean, what we want to do is we want to be fair to people. We want to be able to support them. And the one thing about the V is people are so passionate about their vans, and if somebody's got it fully kitted out as a camper, and they're using it as a camper, they're going to need camping equipment cover, for example. And it's really unfair that because the DVLA won't now register to their vehicle, that they're going to lose that benefit. Camping equipment cover just covers stuff inside the vehicle. I mean, when I do shows and events, I've got bed, linen, cooking utensils, pot pans, all of that adds up. You could spend a good few £100 on kitting your van out, probably more. So especially when you start adding an awning, gas bottles, that sort of thing. So it's unfair to now say to somebody, well, you can't have that benefit because the DVLA don't want to register your van. So and this is one of the beauty as well is the underwriters we use really do appreciate what we do in the scene, because we can give that information back to them, and we can say, right,
so
okay,
it works both ways.
We've actually seen it. We know what happens, and touch with one of the good thing with two of the big insurance companies we work with, our claim statistics are one of the lowest in all the brokers. So we really look after people, and we really try to establish the risk so that we place it over in the right way to the insurance company.
Amazing. No, that's so good. And I think what I'd like to do is hit you with a couple of scenarios now, and it's okay for Dan, because we know he's already insured by you, but which is why we're talking to you guys as well. But so Dan is 23 years old. He owns a T4 2.5. It's a 99.
Be so rude. It's a 2003 model.
2003. I do apologise, Dan. Okay, it's a 2003 2.5 litre TDI T4, and it's in the process of being converted. Now, is there a minimum age? Is there an age that you will then start insuring people on? Because obviously, for those listening out there who are, of a younger generation, such as Dan, for example, they might not think they could ever get insured on a T4 2.5 litre. What's the difference there?
That is a really interesting question. And basically, with our insurance schemes at the moment, one of them have got a cut-off age of 25 and the other one's got a cut-off age of 23, but that doesn't mean that we can't cover younger drivers. So all it means is that we would have to ask a lot more information. So one of my obviously one of the groups, Feed Our Family, we deal with, for example, there is one of the admin guys who hangs around with the main crew. He was, I think when we first insured him, he was only 21 years old, but he was a very old 21-year-old. He was, he had a good occupation. He drove vans for work. Really sensible guy. Bless him, he's about 6'9". I mean, this guy is. He is a big.
Won't say anything mean about him then. Yeah.
Oh, you would never guess he was. He was 21 years old, and somebody like that, you can say to the insurance company, well, I know that the claim statistics on drivers that age isn't good, because what they tend to avoid is people buying vans and going to festivals and getting drunk and driving. But you can't kind of almost tarnish everybody with that brush. So say you've got somebody who works hard for a living. He goes to shows and events. He's a proper enthusiast. Is there any chance we can get this chap insurance? And you just present the risk to the insurance company, let them make the decision on it. So if we can't agree here, then we would talk to the insurance company.
That's so good to know. Again, another great thing, because when I've spoken to insurance companies in the past, and I've done it through brokers, I've done it through comparison sites and things like that, but to actually know that the person who I'm speaking to on the other end of the phone again is knowledgeable, but then will actually speak to the broker personally and go, well, do you know what, I actually kind of know the guy and I believe he's not a threat, blah blah blah. That's incredible. That I didn't know that sort of thing happened. I didn't appreciate that a company would actually go to those lengths to a point. Now, I can't say that's going to happen to everybody.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So,
but the fact that there's that personal element to each.
Yeah, it's very much having that trust with the people you work with, and I think the insurance companies appreciate how much we do in the scene. I mean, we've been doing it for about 9-10 years now. And for the last up to 2019, obviously they were all cancelled last year. I've spent my summers sat in fields, with people, learning the scene, speaking to clients, and I really enjoy it. It's that almost that thirst for knowledge. What do you do and who are you, and not just the traders and learning about the vans, but people as well, and just learning all the what people want to do, what their hobbies are. And you can get a 21-year-old who isn't into mountain biking, for example. He's not out partying every weekend. His passion is mountain biking. And again, that's something you could present to the insurance company, saying, right, well, he has a niche, he has a passion, so he's not using it. So I mean, one thing with insurance companies, statistics for claims, it is worse the younger you are. That's a statistic fact on it. But as I said, if somebody's had 2 or 3 years claim-free driving, they've driven vans, there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to get insurance.
And if they were, I think you were keen on building a relationship with Dan for a start as well, knowing that he was here. And he actually works around vans and drives van daily.
Yeah,
he's on
absolutely.
our trade insurance, for example, so he's permitted to drive the company vehicles as well. So that's not a big deal, but that's great.
Yeah, no, and it makes a difference to be able to speak to the insurance companies, and they are open to reviewing stuff, so it's not always kind of a straight no. There are certain things they won't cover. There are certain areas within the UK that are really difficult, really high risk. London seems to be one we do struggle with. London postcodes are quite difficult to cover any kind of really big built-up area. So, but again, we'll look at things like, where is it parked? Is it in a secure underground car park? Is there security? Is it gated? Is there CCTV? So, if we get a risk that doesn't look particularly good to the insurance company, we'll always try and see if there's anything that can make the risk more attractive, CCTV,
Brilliant.
Guarded compounds, stuff like that. So, and then, if it's not something we can quote on, then we give it, we can refer it to the actual underwriter.
Well, that's another point I wanted to raise in a bit, actually, as well. You and I both thought about
the
it.
same thing?
Yeah, we're thinking about
mine's just bouncing.
security and how that can affect. But we'll get onto that in a bit.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, so we've done a 2003 T4 with a 23-year-old driver. Now, personally, my own camper van,
50-year-old and a T3.
Okay. Oh shit! Sorry. And now I've sworn. I was going to put my finger up at him because he's being rude about my age, and now I've sworn on the podcast. Okay.
Won't have you back.
37-year-old, married with 2 kids, with a 1983 VW T3 or Type 25 Caravelle with a non-standard engine, and I do a lot of international travel. Now. For a start, are those things going to affect my policy, and how? And also, are there things I can do to make it cheaper? One of those things would be, insuring my wife on the vehicle, before and after, cheaper, more difficult. What would that sort of entail?
Yeah, and anything like that's interesting. I mean, one of the interesting ones is the engine modification on it, the fact that it's got a different engine in it. The good thing about our insurance schemes as well is, a lot of people do engine swaps, engine transplants. We can generally cover those as well. So what we would always say to people, if you're doing that, as long as it's got an MOT or an engineer's report to say that it's been done safely, then it's absolutely fine. And anything with modifications on a vehicle, it's always down to common sense as well. If you do something perhaps that is going to make the vehicle a higher risk to the insurance company, then we might ask a few more questions on it. I mean, lowered suspension was quite interesting. For example, the people who have it really low, on a van especially. Yeah.
Hopefully it's not a bumpy road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clever boy.
So for example, if there was an accident caused by, the gap between the wheel arch and the wheel itself, the insurance companies might raise a few questions on that. Say, right, well, who did it? Was it actually a safe modification on it? So I think very much the onus is on you guys. It's just to make sure that the vehicle looks as cool as possible, but as safe as possible as well. So what you don't want to be doing is increasing the risk. So it's quite interesting what the insurance companies, they basically sit down and they analyse claim statistics. They'll be able to say, right, this area is bad. This area is bad, this type of driver is bad, this occupation's not great. So they literally spend, ages analysing all the claim stats, and some modifications do come up on it. So LPG's always been an interesting one.
LPG.
Yeah, so for example, one of our insurance companies will want it to be on the LPG register, to actually have a certificate for it, just to show that it's actually safe. But engine transplants are not a problem at all. Classic policy, they do give discounts as well if there's more than one driver, especially if you're doing long trips, because obviously it makes it safer to switch drivers. So for the tiredness element, so you would get discounts for that. Reducing premium, limited mileage, for example, if it's going to be do your European trips and go and have your fun, but if you want to limit the mileage slightly, keeping the vehicle off road can save money. So if you can garage it, that will save you money. If you can keep it actually off the road, that will save you money as well. There's always an element that if it's parked at the side of the road, thieves will be more attractive if it's not on your driveway, or just somebody hitting it, or vandalising it. Not many people are going to run up your driveway to hit it.
Valuable points, yeah.
But if it's parked on the actual side of the road, then there is that more of the risk element to it.
Okay, so having my wife on a policy then would be cheaper for me personally.
As long as she's a good driver.
Oh, she's a very good driver. Yeah.
So
she's so good, in fact, that I have to carry her points on my licence. Yes. Depending on who the car's registered to at the time. So thanks, love, for that one. Yes. Okay. So final one, and I know we talk about VWs a lot, and this is just the scenario-based question. Somebody out there, he is, I'm going to say 55, between the ages of 55 and 56. Kids left home.
55 and 56.
Sorry, 55 and 60. Brain's not working. 55 and 60.
55 and a half.
He's retired early. He's decided to get a transit custom to pursue his passion in windsurfing or kite surfing or something like that. So the van's going to be a very specific build. It's a transit custom, for example. He may actually use it as his daily car as well, because it's a perfect car as a daily, a transit custom. But then it's got a very specific build, and there's going to be expensive gear in the back. Now, obviously for people, you're a modified van insurance, not necessarily a modified campervan insurance, so you will, I'm hoping, going to cater for those who do extreme sports or any sort of outdoor pursuits that would involve carrying and safely transporting expensive gear.
It was interesting you should mention that. We did a group chat recently with regards to paddleboarding, because there's quite a few people I know in the scene who are really into paddleboarding. So of whether or not we could cover the equipment in the vehicle, and it ended up with that particular scene. If you're into paddleboarding, that when you take insurance out, you get an element of cover for the board anyway, or the liability cover. Sorry, most insurance companies will not cover the sports equipment while in the vehicle, so that's kind of a slightly different element, and obviously there's not enough premium in it for just to cover a particular board with the excess. Whether or not you can get them covered under your household insurance might be worth checking into. You might be able to get sports equipment on your household insurance, but the actual van itself has very limited cover. They'll cover things like camper equipment cover, but sports equipment, there tends to be quite a lot of value into it.
Yeah, for sure.
So things like paddle boards and jet skis and stuff, they would not actually be covered under the policy.
Could be worth more than the van in some cases, couldn't it?
Yeah, it's because what I always say to people, I'm chatting to people, especially with things like stereo equipment, sports equipment. If your van, if you leave all your stuff in the van, and somebody breaks into your vehicle, they're not going to go in there and go, oh, right, I'm going to have that rock and roll bed out, get his spanners out and, whip that out. They're going to go for stuff that they can grab easily and that they can sell, which is going to be your sports equipment and stuff like that. So I've got a friend from Running Club who left a pair of trainers. They were quite nice ones. They were the new Saucony Endorphin, kind of nice, but just left them in there not realising, and somebody broke in and stole them. And that was a pair of trainers. They were worth about 155 quid. They were quite nice trainers, but they're on the market, selling them on eBay, they might be worth 50 quid. So somebody had smashed his window and took his trainers. So
contents is something that you can cover, but it's going to be specifics, and generally it would be more to do with the actual camping equipment as opposed to adventure equipment.
To sports equipment. One of our offices, I think it was our Southampton office, because obviously A-Plan have got loads of different branches. The branch manager there was really into cycling, was a really keen cyclist, and I'm not sure if they still had it, but at one point he actually had a scheme for push bikes. So there are schemes out there that you can actually get that will cover them, but it's not something that's sort of almost included within the policy. So it would have to be a separate element. So to be able to get them covered.
Nice job.
Yeah, it's interesting to know as well, because it's good to know now than when you go to claim and go, oh well, I had a £1,000 paddleboard or kayak in the back, and you go, oh wait, it's not. So
that's amazing. No, that's really good, and thank you for those. I know there's going to be a million other scenarios, and I guess that's your job, isn't it? It's just factoring in all of those different situations and the people and their postcode and their situation and their circumstances and the vehicle itself. So, gosh, it's a minefield, isn't it? I'm sure.
Yeah, but I think what we're going to go on to next is what we mentioned earlier, is the security aspect. So when I spoke to Stuart at A-Plan, he said that everyone at A-Plan has a dash cam. Is that correct?
We do,
Yes.
Dash cams are so important. Half of the claims we dealt with, if people had dash cams, they would be so easy to deal with.
Oh, wow.
So, one of the most interesting things in the scene at the moment is you can have an accident. Somebody could hit you, get out of the vehicle and say, I'm really sorry about that, absolutely my fault. And then, you'll say, no, it's not like years ago where you'd shake hands and go, okay, that's fine, they'll repair it. Chances are the story will change, and suddenly you'll start getting a bill through. I think one of the issues is, I know they're trying to change it a little bit, but the culture of, personal injury, that sort of thing. How many times have you had a phone call saying, this is Joe, about the accident you've had? I've not had an accident, what are you talking about, But almost the ambulance chasers are trying to persuade you that you've had an accident to try and get you to claim for injury and stuff. So as soon as somebody speaks that type of thing, suddenly the story starts changing, and you've hit them, and so dash cams are important, just so you've got that evidence there, and send it to the insurance company, and it does make a big difference. So we all have dash cams. So.
That's okay. Now I have a dash cam in my wife's car, and we've had it in there for maybe 3-4 years now. I've never thought about really putting one in my daily, and that's what I use for everything pretty much. So that is something I'm going to invest in. Hey, maybe we can do a video on it as well. So
there was a video that went that was on Facebook a while ago, and I was always kind of, it made sense on what they were saying in the video, but it almost looked to me like it was a dash cam company might have kind of not staged it, but it was more of an advert for how important dash cams was.
Yeah.
And the video was just this lady driving down the road, and this guy ran out with a moped, and then suddenly pulled back, so he hit the front of her car, and then jumped on the bonnet, and then flopped down, going like that. And she pointed, saying, "I've got." And then there was a guy, obviously the witness, who had seen her hit him. to back the story up, and she then pointed the dash cam and he ran off. I don't know if that's a genuine video. It looks like it could potentially.
I've seen very similar.
There is quite a few. There used to, a while back, there was a sort of a phase where people would let you out of a junction, and then just as you'd go, they'd sort of go into you. That was something that happened in our area at one point. It was just something.
I spook myself sometimes. Like say a couple of days before I go and travel overseas, and we'll do, we've got family over in Poland, so we'll do 900 miles in a couple of days, cross country, down the German autobahns. And for some reason, a couple of days before, all of a sudden, I'll start looking at like Russian dashcam footage.
Oh no!
And it's just completely I don't know. I just have to watch these videos just so I know that potentially what's coming my way, so I know what to do to avoid.
A Facebook channel called Bad Drivers Caught on Dashcam.
Yeah.
And just some of the videos, you're just thinking, wow, people actually drive like that. Have you ever seen the one with the lady who hits the round and she almost jukes some hazards over the roundabout? She's overtaking, and it's just like, wow, and. I just think for your own peace of mind and your own security is just have it. If somebody's ran into you and you've actually got it on video and stuff, it's really hard to argue footage, isn't it? When you've got it.
Will having one reduce your policy, or is it just a really strong recommendation for everybody?
It's something that we're looking into with the insurance companies. I mean, at the moment, our premiums are really competitive anyway. So one thing it might potentially do is lower the excess with one of our insurance companies. So if you've got a dash cam, then it could potentially lower the excess. So, but at the moment, it is a very strong recommendation.
I can hear everyone now flicking through their Amazon app on their phone, looking for the best.
And the thing is, they're not expensive, for
really
decent, and the hassle it can actually save you, for what, £50?
Yeah,
it's definitely worth having to get
for it. It's nothing too major.
Absolutely. So
I've got one of these reversing cameras ready to go into my camper van, which is it's set up so you can have your reversing camera. When you put it into reverse, it will show up on your rear view mirror. But then it's got a camera forward-facing inbuilt, and all you do is you hook it over your existing rear-view mirror, so it's almost a screen-in-screen rather than having one of those ugly screens on your dash, and it keeps it all slick in one mirror. So I've got one of those ready to go. I just haven't fitted it, but now I'm thinking I might just slam it in the Golf so I can use it day to day. The only trouble is they're so wide, those ones, they interfere with your sun visors when you put them up and down. So then moving on from that. Because I understand we've gone over an hour already. Is that about right? I'm not actually keeping tabs of the time.
I'm really enjoying this. So just time flies.
So having a dash cam is key, but it's not potentially not going to reduce your policy. What is the key thing? Like, say, we've had this question a lot, saying, "Do I install an alarm? If so, which alarm do I install?"
Tracker as well.
And what I say to people is, install a tracker. Am I saying the right thing?
Yeah, the things with trackers with insurance is if a vehicle is generally a really high value, we would recommend a tracker. So, but I think trackers are awesome. But I think one of the things with the insurance companies is they're only going to help you find it once it's already been stolen.
Sure.
So there might already be damage, or so there will still might be a claim. I mean, hopefully they'll save £50,000-60,000 if they can recover the vehicle. Do you know one of the most simplest things that we do say to people, and this is something because especially on the newer vehicles like your transporters and stuff like that, the actual factory fitted alarm and immobiliser is really good. Do not leave your keys downstairs. Simple as that. If somebody wants your vehicle, they break into your house to get the keys. So if you've left it downstairs where they can see them, they can get in without waking you up. So, never keep the keys where people can see them.
I can see a whole new video coming up with different types of van security, and maybe we'll do it with you guys as well. But absolutely. No, I've heard of people doing the relays things. They've got these smart boxes that will tap into the signal coming from your key or your wireless entry key, and then it will relay that information to your car, and without even touching your house, your car, or anything else, your expensive vehicles left the driveway.
crazy, isn't it? So
Yeah, no. Sat on a laptop on an end of a driveway.
If that,
making
yeah, like smartphones and an app and the piece of equipment, the black
sort of
box
proper gone in 60 seconds sort of stuff,
absolutely.
isn't it? So, but no, it's scary, isn't it? You know, and I saw a video recently. It wasn't car related. It was something that just came up on YouTube. But you know, there's been a lot of dog thefts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people stealing dogs. You know, again, I don't know if the video was genuine, but it was a guy who, you know, his CCTV footage on his house. Again, CCTV on your house is quite good. But these two guys knocked on his door, no mask or anything, and he opened the door. This guy clocked him one, tried to nick his dog.
Blimey.
You know, so generally, if people want something, they'll go to such extraordinary measures to get
so
it.
it's the ability to record
yeah,
for a start, and then the ability to track, and also keep your keys to yourself.
Things like crook locks and stuff still work, you know, and you know anything that, you know, if somebody does make the effort of trying to break into your house to nick your key, the last thing they want to do is faff around with a crook lock, you know, for example, on the steering wheel or the gate locks. And
there's the safe T pedals, they're called as well, aren't there? And they're the big cages that sit around your clutch, your accelerator and your brake pedal and effectively stop anybody from doing anything with them unless they were to grind the thing off.
I just think the more expensive the vehicle and the more attractive you make it to thieves, the more you want to protect it.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, I've always driven old baggers. I've never, people always laugh because everybody's got really nice cars, and then there's like this moth-eating old thing that I drive. I just like older cars, you know.
Yeah, same.
But they never get stolen. You know, it's like and at the moment I've only my daily's like a Ford Focus titanium, and nobody's going to nick that. So I'm kind of quite lucky on it. But the more you have something nice, the more jealous somebody's going to be, and
absolutely,
that's the way to look at it. So that's why you're about a lot of the sports stars and stuff getting their vehicles. And Paul Scholes apparently got done something a while ago. His house got broken into, and somebody stole his keys. There was quite a famous story about it happening to Paul Scholes.
Oh, was that when he decided to tell the world on Instagram or Twitter that he'd left his house to go on holiday for a week, and everybody went, excellent, let's go into your house.
That was Rooney or Gerrard or one of them or something like that, didn't they?
Yeah,
crazy.
But that again, it's really interesting. When you tap on things like social media, how much information people put on social media about what they're doing and where they are, and I always talk to people in the running community, for example. Especially women out running who don't post your route. Don't let people know where you're going to be running at 7 o'clock in the morning on your own. It's absolutely crazy because of the worst can happen. People are going to, keep it to yourself, and Strava, you've got the ability to hide routes only from people who you trust, and also it leads back to your house. Don't let people know where you live, and just security and stuff. I think in the world we live in, you can't be, too secure about what you do, about protecting yourself online, and I work
your
quite.
Assets.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I work with social media, and sometimes people put almost their whole life on there, and it's just like you're
It was part of one of my old jobs. Actually, was to look into people. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And, you'd be surprised if you really had to look into someone's life and. Down to the photos that they put on and the happy birthdays and everything else, and there is a scary amount of information you can find without really digging that hard.
Absolutely, yeah, and this is why when we go back to community, why I think that's so important, because I think things like Facebook and stuff like that, it's not real. It's a place where you can connect with people, but it's not who we are as people. We need to be having that face-to-face connection with people, and I'm still old-fashioned. It seems weird now that even shaking somebody's hand is going to feel weird, or
you're not allowed to do that anymore, are you?
No. When I the Bristol Volksfest guys last year, they did a tiny little event, a show and shine thing down at the Weston-super-Mare Helicopter Museum. It was a really lovely little one-day Sunday event, and I get on really well with the guys, and we had to elbow bump at the end of it. There was no handshake. But I think it's so important to have that physical contact with people and be face to face and sit around fire pits. And I think Facebook is a very easy entity to be unpleasant to each other. And I read a comment today. Somebody was putting, if you don't agree with this friend, unfriend me. if you don't agree with what I'm saying, then unfriend me. And it's like, but people do have different opinions. It doesn't mean that we can't get on as friends. If we were face to face talking, would you say that? Face to face.
Yeah, absolutely.
Facebook makes it very easy. So, and this is why.
At the same time, it's worked out quite nice for us personally. In terms of our business. We like to put stuff out about our business as well, but then we've got to be careful too.
Absolutely. So, I think from a business perspective, social media is absolutely fantastic, and it does help you communicate with people. But the personal element of it, nothing beats it around a fire pit. You finish trading a bus fest, you meet up with some friends, you sat around a fire pit, got a can of beer, nothing is better than that. So, and that's what we love. So
let's hope we can start doing that this year, and especially leading on to. And
I almost turned into Russell Brandon, didn't I? I was almost like Russell branding you there. It's just like
it's really good, and it's nice to be able to chat with you, Dan. And I for one can't wait to actually meet you in person, and we can go to the shows together. And that goes out to everybody who listens and watches us as well. Coming to a show near you soon is not only your friends, the community will be there, you'll be there, and we'll be able to really start using our camper vans.
It'd be nice to walk around and see people that have built their vans from our videos as well. So that'd be nice.
That's a big thing.
Be great. So,
and I think what I'd like to do certainly in the future, because you and I and Dan and the rest of our fans, followers and patrons and things like that, I think we could probably sit down here and chat for probably another couple of hours. But what I propose we do, Dan, because I know I have probably about another 100 questions to ask you, and I'm sure there's a lot of people listening who have got that too. So what I propose we do in the future is maybe do like a YouTube live where we have coordinated questions that we could answer online, and we can put them to you, or we can discuss them together on a similar sort of format. And I think that would work out quite nicely.
One of our patrons asked for it earlier on one of our posts, because they have a couple of ideas for their van and they want to sort of put them to us and let us know, give our opinions.
So a live thing, I think, for certain. But what I'm going to have to do, I think what we'll probably do now is wrap this up.
Before we do, we need to mention how people can get in touch with A-Plan.
Yeah, this is it. Well, I was about to launch straight into that, basically, because we've got I don't want to say it's an offer, but we've got a way for people to potentially save on their new policy. If people are listening this long, I congratulate you for a start. But actually,
hi, Mum.
Yeah, we want to be able to give back, and I know you obviously throughout this conversation you've spoken about giving back and giving to the community. And the way we'd like to give back is by offering people a membership discount. Am I right in saying that?
A club membership discount, absolutely.
A club membership discount. Yeah. So what would people who are listening have to do after listening to this podcast or watching this on YouTube to qualify or enable a potential discount, Dan?
Yeah, so what you need to do is just give us a call on our number, which is 01635 879910, and just mention Combe Valley Campers when you call. Simple as that, and then it gets recorded.
And if anybody's got any comments or questions as to where to contact you or anybody else from the team from the Modified Van Insurance, we can leave details down below.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we can leave it. So obviously we've got our Facebook page, which I'm under there as Dan Mark Cameron. Anybody's welcome to that. That's my work Facebook, so anybody's welcome to send me a friend request, drop me a private message on that. Happy to answer. We have an Instagram page as well, which is A-Plan Faction Schemes. So there's always places you can just drop us a message, and we'll be more than happy to help out on it. So anything you're not sure of, just send us a question, and we'll do our best to answer it. So
brilliant. So to reiterate, we give you a call, and we mentioned Combe Valley Campers, and you've got potential there for a discount on your quotation for your policy. Is that correct?
Yeah,
brilliant.
Correct.
Oh, I can't wait. That's going to be awesome. So giving back. So those, and it goes out to anybody. And we'll be putting a link on our website as well and our social media. And I'm sure we can take some lovely little clips out of our conversations out of this podcast to give to people as well.
And a very, very, very quick point. Obviously, when I called up as well, we've got a second car. There's a little Nissan Micra, and I was told to let you know when that is up as well. Do you do multi-car?
Yeah, no. Yeah, we do. I'm basically A-Plan are one of the oldest brokers on the market. So, this is a niche office, but we have a scheme for second cars. We do household insurance, life. Just go on the A-Plan website as well. Check it out. 'Cause we cover pretty much anything. So, travel insurance, whatever you mentioned that you go abroad quite a lot. We do travel insurance. So,
amazing.
And anything you need. So, yeah, just give us a shout anytime. But I've really appreciated this, guys, and really enjoyed it.
Dan, you're a superstar. Thank you so much for coming on today. I've really enjoyed that. And again, I think we could probably, again, when the time comes, sit around a fire, grab a brew, and probably talk until the wee hours of the nights, and yeah, I think it would be really, really good. And I look forward to the next show that we do, and we're all sort of chilling out together. But until then, thank you very much, Dan. Thank you very much to A-Plan Insurance.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Dan, thanks to you, mate, and thanks to obviously Ali and Izzy in the background who are running the show and filming everything that we're doing. And to everybody out there listening and watching, thank you very much. This is episode 10, series 1 of the Campervan cast. You've been brilliant. The feedback we've been getting and the reviews has been excellent. If you like this episode or any of the episodes you've listened to or watched, please go ahead and leave a review on either iTunes or Spotify or Google or Amazon, anywhere you listen to. If you've got the opportunity to leave a review, please do, because it just helps us out so much. It gets us bumped up. We've had, how many downloads have you had, Izzy, in the first 9 episodes? Are we getting on to 4,000 downloads, which is really cool we weren't expecting anything like that. We're expecting a few hundred, but we love this sort of thing, and we love interacting with people like yourself, Dan, and all of the listeners out there as well. Thank you.
Cool, no worries, thank you.
Yep, and we'll be back with series 2.
We'll be back for series 2
very soon.
And it'll be building and modifying your van. Thank you, guys, and we shall see you on the next one. Bye-bye.